We're a couple of funerals away from being insolvent.
The joke is that one day when you reach the pearly gates, the question isn't why didn't you become somebody else, but why didn't you live into the potential that I gave you? And I think that's good for us to think about on an individual level and as communities.
Yeah, I needed some help and guidance to come alongside my staff and support them in these changes that we were putting on them. That relationship grew into helping us buy a new property, and from there into strategic development of what would we do with the properties that we had, and how would we grow.
Hi, I'm Russell Crawford.
Hi, I'm Karen Lee.
We're with Peace Lutheran Church.
So I'm Robin Jacobson, and I'm at Trinity United Church in Vernon, British Columbia, where we meet on the unceded territories of the Okanagan Silk.
My name is Jaco de Vin. I'm the Executive Director of the Upper Room Mission.
When you ask about the congregation, all I can do is smile, because I love this community of people. I love the way that we come together, that we worship together, we play together.
This congregation was built in 1987. It was built as a kind of state-of-the-art place. We found ourselves wondering about what happens next. But it just began to feel as if we're not being as faithful with our stewardship of our resources, of this building, of the people in this place.
The Upper Room Mission has been in the Vernon community since 1980, is focused on caring for and improving the lives of those people who are struggling in our community, either with homelessness or addiction or poverty.
Our congregation is aging. The vast majority of people in the congregation are over 60 years old. We have very few young families.
We would have 17 mums and little babies in the room, and now we don't have any babies in the congregation at all. So it's a real change in demographics for us.
We're a couple of funerals away from being insolvent. So we've been trying to figure out how we can be financially viable and still share the gospel with the community. So we were at a loss. We knew what we needed to do, but we didn't have a pathway to that end.
There was a general sense of dis-ease happening in the congregation. But we have this large property, we have this large building, and while we have a lot of outreach into the community, there was a very real sense of not being as faithful a steward as what we can be with what we've been given, and that we are needing to maximize the potential that we have for ministry in this place. But then we hit a kind of stalemate. We weren't sure what to do with that. And that's when, speaking to our Pacific Mountain region, we were referred to Reframe. Reframe had done some work within the United Church of Canada and have a good reputation. And so we were really happy to reach out to Reframe and share some of our struggles with them and to begin the process of what they'd be able to help us with in going forward.
The last 2 years we've been able to provide a winter shelter program. For 5 months we were able to provide 20 beds over the last 2 years, and we are now in a dedicated space for our winter shelter program. And we hope through the hard work and in partnership with Reframe to expand that to a year-round facility here in Vernon.
Reframe came up with ideas that would work for us and for our community. Totally impressed by the outreach to the local area, which was done anonymously, so that the local neighborhood could offer input as to what they thought would be a good fit. I love that there seemed to be a lot of mutual respect when we met in congregational meetings. Anybody could ask a question, and everybody was treated with fairness, open listening, and great answers.
Reframe's motto of working at the speed of trust, I think, that's apt. It really tells what Reframe is about and how they work with the congregation, and we couldn't be happier.
You know, all of my fears to this point have been allayed, and in fact, from fear to enthusiasm and hope and just possibilities.
So Reframe coming on board with us has been a delight. Being able to meet with Lawrence and with Brian and feeling a very real sense of being listened to, being heard, being taken very seriously. And then their work of actually doing some very serious research, being able to access contacts and people and situations that we didn't have access to, the people in the city and the provincial government, the contacts that they had, the wider community, and being able to draw in the various workshops and so on, and producing credible research describing our context as to where we are and what we are and what the needs are in our community. I think the main contribution that Reframe has brought has been the traction that the work has provided us with how we see our future. There's a sense of gratitude that we'll be able to make a difference in a housing market that is very stretched in Vernon, with a building of over 200 units, with commercial spaces that are going to be provided. We know we're going to be making a difference, and we're going to continue to exist here as a congregation.
First, I worked with Lawrence on a coaching basis in the growth challenges that we're facing each and every day, in team development, like growing in employees and expertise, and then in the change management of that growth. That relationship grew into helping us buy a new property behind us, and from there into strategic development of what would we do with the properties that we had, and how would we grow. Reframe and the Upper Mission started working together on how we could accomplish those things.
I would have no reservations recommending Reframe to help lead a congregation through a process to help them with their vision of outreach and sustainability to keep them going into the future. Meeting Reframe and Brian and Lawrence, and just talking to them and getting a feeling that they really care about us is really important. I have great expectations now.
I think if anyone is thinking about what the future of their congregation is, what the future of their community is, they're not sure how to live into that future in a way that is going to make our God smile, in the way that they're going to be actualized in towards their calling. Yeah, I wouldn't hesitate in recommending speaking to Reframe.
We have big plans, and that's what's changed. I think in our leadership and our leadership focus, Reframe is there to help us put wheels on ideas and wheels on our plans, practical things that we can step into today and hopefully grow into the future. I would say have a conversation. Lay your ambitions and desires on the table and see where Reframe can help guide and direct and even get involved.